So many people come to intermittent fasting full of hope, only to feel frustrated and disappointed. They skip meals, tighten their eating window, yet the scale barely moves. Energy stays low and cravings creep back in. The instinct is to blame fasting itself or to think they just don't have enough willpower. But here's the truth. The problem isn't the fasting. The real roadblock lies deeper, hidden inside the gut. When the gut lining becomes leaky, when the microbiome falls out of balance, and when chronic low-grade inflammation smolders day after day, the body is locked in survival mode. Instead of burning fat for fuel, it clings to it. Instead of steady energy, you get blood sugar crashes, fatigue, and that insatiable urge to reach for quick carbs. These are not signs of personal failure. They are signals from a gut that's under stress and no longer functioning as the control center it should be. This is why the old calorie counting model is so misleading. You can slash calories, shorten eating windows, and push harder. But if your gut barrier is damaged and your microbiome is dysregulated, fasting will not deliver the results you were promised. The body simply cannot enter its natural fat burning and repair state when inflammation is driving the system. The message is simple but profound. Fasting only works when the foundation is strong. Heal the gut, reduce inflammation, and restore the microbiome, and suddenly fasting feels completely different. Hunger is steady, energy is stable, fat starts to burn, and the repair processes that fasting is famous for can finally switch on. Fasting was never broken. The gut was. Once you fix the gut, fasting becomes the powerful anti-inflammatory fat-burning healing tool it was always meant to be. Visceral fat is not just extra padding. It is a toxic, inflammatory fat that wraps itself around the liver, pancreas, intestines, and other vital organs. Unlike the fat you can pinch under your skin, visceral fat hides deep inside the abdominal cavity, often invisible until it causes serious harm. This fat is biologically active, meaning it doesn't just sit there. It constantly pumps out inflammatory chemicals, hormones, and toxins that accelerate aging, stiffen arteries, and drive metabolic disease. It is the fat most strongly linked to type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, heart attacks, strokes, dementia, and even certain cancers. Subcutaneous fat, the softer fat under the skin, may look unattractive, but it is mostly harmless. It stores excess calories safely away. Visceral fat, by contrast, is dangerous precisely because it is hidden and highly inflammatory. You can be relatively slim on the outside, yet carry dangerous amounts of visceral fat inside. This is why belly fat is such a red flag. A protruding abdomen often signals the accumulation of this toxic fat around the organs, quietly damaging health. The reason visceral fat is so difficult to shift lies in the gut. A healthy gut barrier should keep toxins, bacteria, and undigested food particles inside the intestines where they belong. But when the gut becomes leaky, these substances seep into the bloodstream, triggering a constant immune response. The body floods itself with inflammatory chemicals, and this inflammation tells the liver and fat cells to store rather than burn energy. Insulin levels rise to manage the glucose spikes caused by inflammation-driven stress hormones. This combination of inflammation and high insulin locks visceral fat firmly in place. Poor gut health also damages the microbiome, reducing the diversity of beneficial bacteria that regulate appetite, metabolism, and inflammation. When these bacteria are disrupted, the body produces more toxins called endotoxins, which leak through the gut lining and trigger even more inflammation. This becomes a vicious cycle. Gut damage fuels inflammation, inflammation fuels insulin resistance, and insulin resistance fuels the storage of visceral fat. The deeper the belly fat, the stronger the inflammatory fire. This explains why so many people try fasting or calorie cutting and still see their belly bulge resist all efforts. When inflammation is high, insulin stays elevated and fat burning is blocked. Fasting should trigger the body to switch into fat burning mode, but with gut-driven inflammation, the metabolic switch is jammed. Instead of accessing visceral fat stores, the body breaks down muscle for energy, cravings intensify, and fatigue worsens. This is why people often give up thinking fasting does not work for them, when in truth it is their gut health sabotaging the process. The contrast is clear. Subcutaneous fat is inert, it can be gained and lost without much consequence. Visceral fat is inflammatory, it disrupts hormones, damages organs, and accelerates disease. It is not just a cosmetic issue, but a biological time bomb. The key to unlocking this fat is not more restriction, but healing the gut to reduce inflammation and restore metabolic flexibility. When the gut lining is sealed, the microbiome balanced, and inflammation lowered, insulin naturally falls. At that point, fasting can work the way it is designed to. The body begins drawing energy from visceral fat stores, shrinking the toxic fat around the organs. This not only reduces disease risk, but also restores energy, improves mental clarity, and slows the processes of aging. If fasting is not reducing belly fat, the answer does not lie in more discipline or stricter routines. The answer lies in healing the gut. Only then can fasting unlock its true potential as a tool to burn visceral fat and restore health at the deepest level. When people think about food, they usually reduce it to calories in and calories out. But the truth is, food is information. Every bite we take is a set of instructions that tells the gut and the body how to behave. Either it signals healing, repair, and fat burning, or it triggers inflammation, stress, and fat storage. This is why the type of food you eat matters far more than the number of calories. Processed foods are the biggest saboteurs of fasting benefits. Sugar, refined carbohydrates, industrial seed oils, and chemical additives all work together to damage the gut lining and disrupt the microbiome. Sugar and refined carbs cause blood sugar spikes, which in turn push insulin levels sky high. Elevated insulin is the body's signal to stop burning fat and start storing it. Even when you fast later, the after effects of high insulin linger, keeping fat locked away. On top of that, sugar feeds harmful microbes in the gut, creating an overgrowth of yeast and pathogenic bacteria that release toxins into the bloodstream, adding more fuel to the inflammatory fire. Seed oils like soybean, canola, and corn oil are equally destructive. They are rich in omega-6 fats, which are highly unstable and prone to oxidation. When these oils break down, they form compounds that irritate the gut lining and increase systemic inflammation. Over time, this weakens the gut barrier, making it more permeable and allows bacterial toxins to slip through into circulation. Additives, preservatives, and artificial sweeteners only worsen the problem by stressing the microbiome and interfering with the signaling between gut and brain. The result is cravings, mood swings, poor satiety, and the inability to fully benefit from fasting's healing window. Contrast this with anti-inflammatory, gut-healing foods. Omega-3 fatty acids from wild fish, flax, or chia seeds have the opposite effect of seed oils. They lower inflammation and help rebalance the immune system. Extra virgin olive oil provides antioxidants and polyphenols that nourish good microbes and strengthen the gut barrier. Green tea is rich in catechins that calm inflammation and support fat burning by improving insulin sensitivity. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and Brussels sprouts contain compounds that aid liver detoxification, helping the body clear out excess hormones and toxins that drive fat storage. These foods don't just nourish the body, they reprogram it. They lower cortisol, the stress hormone that otherwise keeps blood sugar elevated and fat locked in. They reduce systemic inflammation, allowing insulin levels to normalize so fat burning can resume. They repair the gut lining, making it less permeable to harmful molecules, and they encourage the growth of beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that actually enhance fasting's effects by reducing hunger and improving energy efficiency. Think of processed food as instructions that say, store fat, stay inflamed, keep cravings alive. Think of whole anti-inflammatory foods as instructions that say, heal, repair, switch to fat burning, and restore balance. This is why people who continue eating inflammatory foods during their eating window often fail to see progress with fasting. Even if they fast for 16 hours, the 8 hours of processed food consumption undo the benefits. The gut stays inflamed, insulin remains high, and the body resists fat burning. When food choices align with gut healing, fasting becomes exponentially more powerful. Hunger diminishes because blood sugar stays stable. Energy becomes steady because the body is no longer battling inflammation. Mental clarity improves as the gut-brain connection strengthens. Most importantly, visceral fat begins to shrink because insulin is low and the metabolic switch is finally flipped. Food is not neutral. It is a messenger that either amplifies or sabotages fasting. The difference between success and failure is not willpower, but whether the gut is receiving healing signals or damaging ones. Processed foods block the benefits of fasting at their root. Anti-inflammatory foods unlock them. The body listens to the gut, and the gut listens to the food. The choice of instructions determines everything. When fasting fails to deliver, the missing piece is almost always the food choices during the eating window. The gut is not healed by restriction alone. It is healed by targeted nutrition that reduces inflammation, stabilizes blood sugar, and restores microbial balance. That's where the eat this Instead of that, approach becomes so powerful. By making simple swaps, you send your gut instructions to repair rather than to inflame, which makes fasting work the way it's supposed to. Start with wild-caught salmon or sardines instead of processed meats. These oily fish are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, which directly lower inflammation and rebalance the immune system. Unlike processed deli meats or fried chicken, which are full of inflammatory omega-6 oils and additives, salmon and sardines soothe the gut lining, improve the diversity of gut bacteria, and enhance insulin sensitivity. When inflammation falls and insulin stabilizes, the metabolic switch to fat burning during a fast becomes smooth and natural. Swap out refined desserts for berries. Blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries are rich in polyphenols, plant compounds that act as prebiotics, feeding beneficial microbes in the gut. Unlike sugary pastries or candies, which feed yeast and pathogenic bacteria, berries nourish the microbes that produce short-chain fatty acids, natural anti-inflammatory compounds that heal the gut lining. Berries also have a gentle effect on blood sugar, preventing the insulin spikes that keep fat locked in. By choosing berries, you calm cravings and make the fasting window much easier to sustain. Replace sugary sodas and artificial drinks with green tea. Green tea is loaded with catechins, antioxidants that reduce oxidative stress and calm inflammation throughout the gut and liver. Instead of spiking insulin like a sugary beverage, green tea improves insulin sensitivity, helping the body shift into fat burning mode more effectively during a fast. The mild caffeine in green tea also provides steady energy without the jittery crash of coffee or energy drinks, supporting focus and mental clarity while fasting. Use extra virgin olive oil instead of industrial seed oils like soybean or canola. Olive oil is a cornerstone of anti-inflammatory eating. Its polyphenols strengthen the gut barrier, making it less leaky, and its monounsaturated fats provide clean fuel that stabilizes blood sugar. Seed oils, in contrast, are unstable and oxidize easily, generating compounds that damage the gut lining and ramp up systemic inflammation. By cooking with olive oil or drizzling it over vegetables, you give your gut the tools to repair, setting the stage for fasting to work its fat-burning magic. Choose a handful of raw nuts instead of chips or crackers. Almonds, walnuts, and macadamias deliver healthy fats, minerals, and fiber that satisfy hunger while feeding good bacteria. Unlike refined carb snacks, which spike blood sugar and then leave you crashing, nuts stabilize insulin and provide satiety, making the transition into a fasting window smoother. Their anti-inflammatory compounds also support cardiovascular health, protecting the very organs that visceral fat threatens. Make cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts a daily staple instead of relying on starchy side dishes. These vegetables contain sulfur compounds called glucosinolates that help the liver detoxify and clear out excess estrogen, toxins, and inflammatory molecules. A healthy liver is essential for fat metabolism, and cruciferous vegetables give it the support it needs. By eating these instead of bread, rice, or pasta, you help the body lower inflammation, restore hormone balance, and make fasting far more effective at shrinking visceral fat. Each of these swaps is not about deprivation, but about reprogramming. Salmon instead of fried meat sends a message: reduce inflammation and restore metabolic balance. Berries instead of cake say, feed the gut and stabilize blood sugar. Green tea instead of soda says burn fat and protect the liver. Olive oil instead of seed oils tells the gut seal the barrier and repair. Cruciferous vegetables instead of starches signal detoxify and restore hormone balance. When you align your eating window with foods that heal, fasting finally does what it's meant to do. Hunger is steady, energy is stable, the gut lining repairs itself, and visceral fat begins to melt. The body listens carefully to every bite. Give it the right message, and fasting becomes the powerful fat-burning, anti-inflammatory tool it was designed to be. Fasting by itself is not a magic button. The real transformation happens when you pair fasting with foods that repair the gut, calm inflammation, and balance blood sugar. The key is to think in terms of swaps. Every food you eat is either telling your body to heal and burn fat or to inflame and store fat. By replacing harmful foods with gut healing options, you change the signals your body receives, and fasting becomes smooth, energizing, and truly effective. Start with protein and fat quality. Instead of processed meats like bacon, sausages, or fried chicken, choose wild-caught salmon or sardines. These oily fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are powerful anti-inflammatories. They directly counter the damage done by omega-6 fats from processed foods and industrial seed oils. Omega-3s reduce gut inflammation, help repair the intestinal lining, and restore insulin sensitivity, making it easier for the body to switch into fat-burning mode during a fast. When you swap salmon for processed meat, you're sending your gut a message to repair rather than inflame. Next is fruit. Instead of cookies, cakes, or candies that spike blood sugar and feed harmful microbes, reach for berries. Blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries are loaded with polyphenols, which act like fertilizer for good bacteria in the gut. These compounds encourage beneficial microbes to thrive, leading to the production of short-chain fatty acids that strengthen the gut barrier and lower inflammation. Berries are also low glycemic, meaning they won't cause the insulin surge that locks fat away. The difference between a bowl of berries and a sugary dessert is the difference between feeding healing microbes versus feeding the very pathogens that keep you inflamed. For beverages, the swap is simply replace soda, fruit juice, or artificially sweetened energy drinks with green tea. Green tea is a powerhouse of catechins, antioxidants that fight oxidative stress and lower cortisol, the stress hormone that otherwise keeps blood sugar elevated. Green tea also improves insulin sensitivity and supports fat burning during the fasting state. Instead of getting the roller coaster highs and crashes from sweetened drinks, you'll have steady energy and a gut environment that favors healing and fat loss. When it comes to fats, avoid industrial seed oils like soybean, canola, and corn oil, and choose extra virgin olive oil. The unstable omega-6 fats in seed oils oxidize easily and inflame the gut lining, worsening leaky gut and keeping the immune system on red alert. Olive oil, on the other hand, is stable, rich in monounsaturated fats, and packed with polyphenols that protect the gut lining and reduce inflammation. By drizzling olive oil over vegetables or using it in place of seed oils for cooking, you protect your gut and lower systemic inflammation, allowing fasting to activate fat burning more effectively. For snacks, swap chips, crackers, or breadsticks for raw nuts like almonds, walnuts, or macadamias. Processed carbs, snacks spike glucose, elevate insulin, and leave you hungrier hours later. Nuts provide fiber, minerals, and healthy fats that nourish good microbes, keep you full, and stabilize insulin levels. Walnuts in particular are rich in anti-inflammatory compounds that protect the cardiovascular system, which visceral fat puts under pressure. A small handful of nuts creates satiety, reduces cravings, and supports the fasting window without undoing its benefits. Finally, focus on vegetables. Instead of loading your plate with starchy sides like pasta, bread, or potatoes, choose cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts. These contain glucosinolates, sulfur-based compounds that activate the liver's detox pathways. A clean, efficient liver is vital for processing hormones, clearing toxins, and supporting fat metabolism. Cruciferous vegetables also deliver fiber to feed beneficial bacteria and antioxidants to protect the gut lining. By making this swap, you not only reduce inflammation, but also enhance the body's ability to burn visceral fat. Each of these swaps works because it shifts the gut from an inflamed, leaky, insulin-resistant state to a calm, sealed, insulin-sensitive one. Wild salmon tells the body to cool inflammation. Berries signal the gut microbes to grow stronger. Green tea instructs the system to stabilize insulin and cortisol. Olive oil repairs the barrier that seed oils destroy. Nuts promote satiety and microbial diversity. Cruciferous vegetables detoxify and keep fat metabolism running smoothly. When you consistently choose these healing foods over their harmful counterparts, fasting stops feeling like a struggle. Energy stays steady, hunger becomes manageable, and visceral fat finally begins to melt away. The gut is the switchboard, and food is the signal. Eat this instead of that, and fasting transforms into the fat-burning, anti-inflammatory tool it was designed to be. The way fasting works is not simply about skipping meals. The real engine behind effective fat burning begins in the gut. When the gut is damaged, fasting feels like a constant battle with cravings, energy crashes, and stalled weight loss. But when the gut heals, everything changes. The body naturally shifts into repair mode, hunger becomes manageable, and fat burning accelerates. The difference lies in how gut health interacts with hormones, inflammation, and metabolism. The first step happens when the gut lining is repaired. A leaky gut allows toxins and food particles to slip into the bloodstream, which keeps the immune system on high alert. This constant immune activation drives inflammation, and inflammation raises insulin. High insulin is like a lock on fat cells. It tells the body to store fat and prevents fat release. When the gut heals and the barrier is sealed, Those toxins stop leaking, inflammation drops, and insulin levels finally fall. Lower insulin is the key that unlocks fat stores, making them available for energy. The second step is the restoration of insulin sensitivity. In an inflamed, insulin-resistant state, cells stop responding to insulin, forcing the pancreas to pump out more and more. This keeps blood sugar unstable and cravings high. Once the gut heals, inflammation quiets down, and cells begin listening to insulin again. That means glucose and fat can move into the cells efficiently, blood sugar stabilizes, and the constant roller coaster of hunger and fatigue flattens out. Instead of needing a snack every few hours, the body can comfortably go longer between meals, making intermittent fasting feel natural instead of forced. The third step involves the microbiome. A diverse and balanced microbiome produces compounds called short-chain fatty acids, especially butyrate, propionate, and acetate. These molecules are powerful regulators of appetite and metabolism. They tell the brain that the body has enough energy, reducing the drive to overeat. They also improve insulin sensitivity and directly encourage fat cells to release their stored energy. In other words, when the microbiome is healthy, it helps suppress cravings, supports balanced blood sugar, and opens the door to fat burning, exactly the conditions needed for fasting to be effective. The fourth step is the impact on hunger signals. An unhealthy gut produces toxins that confuse the communication between the gut and brain, making you feel hungry even when you're not truly lacking energy. This is why processed foods and gut inflammation are tied to overeating. Once the gut is healed and the microbiome balanced, the communication between gut hormones like ghrelin and leptin becomes clear again. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, spikes appropriately when it's time to eat, but not constantly. Leptin, the satiety hormone, tells the brain when you've had enough. With this balance restored, fasting no longer feels like white knuckling through endless hunger. It feels calm and sustainable. The fifth step is energy stability. In a damaged gut state, inflammation disrupts mitochondria, the tiny energy factories in cells. That's why fatigue, brain fog, and energy crashes are so common. Once the gut heals and inflammation drops, mitochondria can function at full capacity, producing clean, steady energy from both glucose and fat. This is what makes fasting easier, as instead of crashing mid-morning, the body effortlessly taps into fat stores for fuel, giving you clarity and vitality throughout the day. Step by step, the process is simple. Heal the gut, inflammation goes down. When inflammation goes down, insulin sensitivity improves. When insulin sensitivity improves, cravings diminish and fat stores are unlocked. When the microbiome is balanced, it produces short-chain fatty acids that regulate appetite and promote fat burning. With hunger and energy stabilized, intermittent fasting no longer feels like a fight against biology. It feels like aligning with the body's natural design. This is why some people struggle endlessly with fasting while others thrive. The missing gear is gut health. Without it, fasting feels like starvation, cravings rage, and fat refuses to budge. With it, fasting feels effortless. Hunger is quiet, energy is steady, and visceral fat finally begins to melt. The gut is the switch that determines whether fasting works against you or for you. Heal it, and fasting becomes the powerful fat-burning tool it was always meant to be. Fasting and gut-healing foods are powerful on their own, but the real transformation happens when lifestyle habits are aligned with them. The body does not operate in isolated compartments. Every system, digestion, hormones, immunity, metabolism, is interconnected. If one gear is out of rhythm, the whole machine slows down. That's why sleep, stress management, and daily rhythms are not optional extras but essential allies. They multiply the effects of fasting and gut repair, turning small changes into profound results. When you fast, you give the gut lining a chance to rest and repair. Food particles, bacteria, and toxins that normally stress the gut are cleared, allowing the intestinal barrier to strengthen. But if you are sleep deprived, this repair work is undermined. Sleep is when the body restores hormones like leptin and ghrelin, which regulate hunger and satiety. Poor sleep lowers leptin, the satiety signal, and raises ghrelin, the hunger signal, making you crave sugar and refined carbs. Even if you eat gut-healing foods and stick to your fasting window, lack of sleep can override the benefits by driving cravings and disrupting energy balance. Restorative sleep is the partner that locks in fasting's benefits. Stress plays the same disruptive role. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, and cortisol is a fat storage hormone. It pushes glucose into the bloodstream, raises insulin, and directs fat toward the belly, where visceral fat accumulates. This is a survival mechanism. Under stress, the body prepares for famine by storing energy centrally. No matter how carefully you fast or how many anti-inflammatory foods you eat, unchecked stress will keep your body in fat storage mode. The solution is not to eliminate stress, which is impossible, but to manage it. Breath work, walking in nature, meditation, journaling, or even simple social connection all calm the nervous system and lower cortisol. When cortisol drops, fasting can finally trigger fat burning instead of fat storage. Movement also supports this synergy. The right kind of activity, walking, stretching, resistance training, helps improve insulin sensitivity and stimulates the gut microbiome. You don't need punishing workouts that spike stress hormones further. Instead, think of movement as a signal to the body that energy can flow freely. Pairing fasting with regular, balanced movement enhances fat burning and reinforces the gut-brain connection, creating more resilience against cravings and energy dips. Evolutionary reasoning makes this clear. Our ancestors naturally combined periods of fasting with nutrient-dense foods, restful sleep, movement, and stress rhythms dictated by nature. They fasted when food was scarce, then ate whole foods from hunting, fishing, or foraging. They slept in sync with the sun, letting hormones rise and fall in a natural rhythm. Their stress came in short bursts, a hunt, a storm, a conflict, followed by recovery. They did not live under constant, artificial stress or chronic sleep deprivation. Their lifestyle supported gut health without them even knowing it, and their metabolism thrived as a result. Modern life has disrupted all of these rhythms. We are surrounded by processed foods that inflame the gut, artificial light that blunts sleep, and constant stress that raises cortisol. Simply adding fasting or a few healthy foods is not enough to fully counteract this. The body needs the whole picture: the repair time from fasting, the fuel from gut healing foods, the reset from sleep, and the balance from stress control. These are not separate strategies, but parts of the same system working together. When you combine them, the effects are multiplied. Fasting becomes easier because sleep stabilizes hunger hormones. Gut healing foods work better because stress reduction lowers cortisol and inflammation. Fat burning accelerates because movement improves insulin sensitivity and circulation. Energy stabilizes because the microbiome and mitochondria thrive in a body that is well rested and calm. This synergy explains why some people experience dramatic, lasting results while others struggle despite following the same fasting plan. The takeaway is simple: fasting and gut repair are the foundation, but they do not work in isolation. Without quality sleep and stress balance, even the best diet will feel like a battle. With them, fasting becomes effortless, cravings fade, and visceral fat melts away naturally. This is how the body was designed to operate, not in fragments, but in rhythms. Align your lifestyle with fasting and gut health, and the system works the way it always did for our ancestors: smoothly, efficiently, and powerfully in favor of fat burning and long-term health. The solution to making fasting work is not more restriction, longer fasting windows, or stricter rules. The solution is to fix the gut first so that fasting can do its job. This is why a clear step-by-step blueprint is essential, one that removes the roadblocks, restores gut function, and aligns lifestyle with biology. When these steps are followed in sequence, fasting shifts from feeling like a fight to feeling effortless and effective. The first step is to remove gut-damaging foods. These are the biggest obstacles standing in the way of healing. Processed carbohydrates like white bread, pasta, pastries, and sugary snacks feed harmful microbes, spike blood sugar, and raise insulin, keeping fat locked away. Industrial seed oils like soybean, canola, and corn oil inflame the gut lining and destabilize the microbiome. Artificial sweeteners, preservatives, and additives confuse gut bacteria and disrupt the signaling between gut and brain. Cutting out these foods is like removing the constant insult that keeps the gut in a state of damage. Without taking them out, no amount of healthy foods or fasting can fully repair the problem. The second step is to add gut healing foods. Fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, and plain yogurt repopulate the gut with beneficial microbes. Fiber-rich vegetables, especially leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables, provide prebiotics that feed those microbes and strengthen the gut barrier. Omega-3 rich foods like wild-caught salmon, sardines, flax, and chia reduce inflammation and restore balance to the immune system. Extra virgin olive oil, nuts, seeds, berries, and green tea deliver antioxidants and polyphenols that calm inflammation and support microbial diversity. These foods do not just nourish the body, They actively repair the gut lining, rebalance the microbiome, and reset the system for fat burning. The third step is to pair this with daily fasting windows. Once the damaging foods are removed and healing foods are in place, fasting becomes the amplifier. A 13 to 16-hour fasting window is enough to give the gut lining the rest it needs to repair, while the feeding window provides dense nutrition for recovery. For some, extending the fast to 18 hours or occasionally 24 hours may accelerate results, but the priority is consistency, not extremity. Fasting gives the gut time off from constant digestion, lowers insulin naturally, and allows the body to access stored fat. It is the rhythm of fasting combined with healing foods that creates a powerful synergy for long-term change. The fourth step is to prioritize sleep, hydration, and stress control. Without these, even the best food plan and fasting schedule can falter. Deep sleep restores hunger hormones, ensuring ghrelin and leptin are balanced so cravings don't sabotage fasting. Adequate hydration keeps the gut mucosal lining strong and supports detoxification. Stress management lowers cortisol, the hormone that otherwise drives belly fat and keeps blood sugar elevated. Simple practice like walking, breath work, sunlight exposure, or journaling can profoundly lower stress and support the gut-brain connection. These habits create the internal environment where fasting and gut healing can fully work together. The final step is to bring it all together into a sustainable rhythm. Remove the gut irritants, replace them with gut healing foods, align eating with a daily fasting window, support the system with sleep, hydration, and stress balance. This is not a temporary diet or a quick hack. It is a way of living that restores the natural balance humans have thrived on for millennia. Once the gut heals, fasting stops feeling like deprivation and starts feeling like freedom. Hunger is steady, energy is clear, and fat begins to melt from the places it matters most, like the dangerous visceral fat around the organs. The takeaway is simple. Intermittent fasting only delivers its full benefits when the gut is healthy. Without gut repair, fasting feels hard, results stall, and inflammation continues. With gut repair, fasting becomes a powerful, effortless tool for burning fat, reversing inflammation, and restoring long-term health. The gut is the master switch. Heal it, and fasting transforms from a struggle into one of the most effective strategies for energy, weight, and